Hi and welcome back to my channel. In today's video it's not going to be an exact tutorial, but I'm going to be showing you my process of making a beaded bag. So for this video you will need the yarn you want, the beads you want, a longer crochet hook in the size you need, and then the matching one in a shorter hook, some stitch markers, and the ability to know how to do a Tunisian knit stitch, and then optional a chainless foundation stitch, because that's what I'm doing. If you don't know how to do that, you can always do regular. It's just with this I prefer to do the chainless. You'll see why later. I'll show you. So for my design, which I'm sure you've probably seen in the video thumbnail already, but I'm going to try to explain it. It's going to be just like a basic, like the rectangular bag with like the kind of like letter style closure. So for that you'll need a front and a back, which is what this is, and I made sure this is big enough for my phone. So my phone is slightly smaller than this because I don't need it to be huge. I'm making this because I need it for an event I'm going to, where I have a nice dress and I have nice shoes and everything I need except for a bag, I realized. So I'm making this real quick and I think it's going to work perfectly. So you will need two of this size, which is going to be the front and the back, and then I'm going to make a side channel and then a bottom channel. So I went ahead and I made the front, one of the sides, and the bottom, and I'm going to show you how to make another one of the fronts and the side. So to start off, I'm starting off with the front, and the pattern I'm doing is, I believe this yarn requires a 4.5 millimeter hook. I'm using a 4 just because I want to, but I did a chainless foundation stitch and I did 39 chains, and the reason I did that is for the pattern I'm doing, and that ends up being perfectly like the size I need for my phone and for it to be slightly bigger. But what I'm going to do is I finish my foundation stitch and I'm going to see if I can really get this to focus. But I'm going to pull a loop out. I'm going to go into that first stitch. I'm going to grab a loop. I'm going to pull that through, so that is now coming out of that first spot. And then I'm just going to go into each stitch, grab my yarn and pull it up. And I'm just using those as the spot you would use the back stitches on the Tunisian. So I'm just going to do that until I have every loop on, and when you're done and you count them, there should be 39 if that's the size you're needing. Once I get done with the bag, I'll measure it and let you know what size it is, but that is what I'm doing. I also forgot to mention in the list of things you'll need in the beginning, you'll also need that like plastic mesh backing to make the bag firm and not fall in on itself. So I'm going to go ahead and chain this on and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I cast on 39 stitches. So this doesn't count as one row or one stitch just yet. So this is technically half, and then as we cast it off, that'll be one row. So that way you know later when I say on row 1, 2, on this row, you do this, a row is going like this, and then passing back through like this. Let me just show you. So this, I've now done 3 stitches on this row. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cast all this off so I will have my first official row, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have officially done one row. And so the reason I did the chainless foundation stitch is because with smaller thread like this and doing a bunch of stitches, I felt like the definition in the stitches start to get kind of lost after a while, and as you're trying to cast on, you may skip a stitch or do too many or something, at least in my experience. So with a softer, flimsier yarn like this that kind of easily unravels in itself, I just go ahead and do a foundation or chainless foundation stitch, and I feel like that just makes it much easier. So now I've done the you can do either a chainless foundation stitch, or you can chain, you know, your 39 and then do a single crochet if you want, or do it regular and then just do 2 rows instead of the 1. But I went ahead, did my chainless foundation stitch. I've done 1 row, and now I'm going to start adding the beads. So, and I probably should have said this before I started doing it, but I went ahead and I just added my beads on. I just used a small yarn needle or sewing needle that was big enough for this and small enough to put these on, and I went ahead and I just put on a bunch so I have enough. And the pattern is going to go, so there's 1 loop on the hook right now. So I am now on there's 4 on there, and you want 3 without 1 and the 4th one with 1. So I have the 4th one on there without 1 right now. So I'm going to pull up a couple of beads just to have nearby. I'm going to pull 1 bead up, and I'm just going to pop it through there, and that's the bead. So then I'm going to do 4 more. This is the 3rd one, and then the 4th one is the one that you're going to put the bead on. So again, I'm going to take a bead, I'm going to pop it on there, and I'm going to keep doing a bead on every 4th stitch until I get to the end. So you'll have 3 unbeaded stitches on either side for a total of 9 beads. So I will continue to do that, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so I just got done doing my last cast on. So there are 3 at the beginning without any beads and 3 at the end without any beads. And then there are 3 in between each bead. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beads. And then on the second row where we do beads, there will be 8 because there's going to be 1 on, so that's why we did 3 in the middle. So there's going to be a bead on the middle one between each bead except for these ends. So then there will be 5 unbeaded ones on each end. It'll make sense once we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this off and then let you know what we're doing next. And then as you're casting it off, you want to make sure the beads are in the front as you do it and not still. Let me show you. You want to make sure they're not back here when you do it, because then the bead will be in the back. You want to put it in the front when you're going through. So the beads will be in the front. Okay, so that was row 2. So the pattern is going to go, we're going to do a row without beads, a row with beads, a row without beads, a row with beads, so on and so forth. And then the bead rows are going to alternate. So let me show you what that looks like in just a minute. So right now, since we just did a row with beads, we're going to do a row without beads. So I'm going to go ahead and cast that on real fast. And I will be right back. And don't forget to occasionally count to make sure you have the correct amount of stitches. Right, so I just finished casting off the third row, which was the row without beads. So now for the fourth row, which will be our second row with beads, you're going to cast on 6, or 6 loops. So now there are 6 loops. So you're going to stop, you're going to grab a bead, pop that through, so that there are 5 without beads and then 1 with bead. And then you're going to continue the other pattern of doing 4. And then putting a bead on the 4th one so that there are 3 stitches in between each bead without a bead on it. And that is how the second row of beads is going to go. So there's going to be 5 on either end without beads. And then after that is going to be the regular pattern of bead, 3 without beads, and then bead. I'm going to continue this. And then once you get the 8th bead on there, so there'll be a total of 8 beads. On the row before there will be 9 beads. I'm then going to continue to cast on the next 5 loops. Like so. And so that is what the pattern is going to consist of. It's going to go your 39 stitches or 39 chainless foundation stitches, and then just a regular row after that, and then your beaded row where you're going to be doing 9 beads, and then a regular row, and then another beaded row with 8 beads. And you're going to continue that pattern, that everything I just showed you, and then I'll show you how long I'm making mine. And again, you can do more rows, more stitches, whatever you need to be the size you need it. I'm just showing you what I'm doing for mine. So I'm going to cast this off and then continue this same pattern, and it's going to end with a total of 19 beads. And when I get on my 19th bead row, I'll show you what I do with that, and I might catch you up between as well. So I will be right back. And don't forget when you're casting off the bead row to make sure the beads are in the front when you're casting them off. Okay, so 2 things. One is my background is white and I'm working with kind of fuzzy black yarn. So I have given up on lint rolling the background. So if it looks a little like grungy, it's because of this yarn and I'm surrendering. So anyway, progress. So I've marked, I like to do markers as I go. So this is marking the 10th row of beads. This is marking the 15th row of beads. And I'm currently on the 19th row of beads. They are cast on. That is the last row of beads I'm going to do. Again, you can do more. Like I was thinking I was going to do 20 rows of beads, but then at the 20th row is the row that has less beads, so it wouldn't have lined up with the edge quite as well. I would have stopped with that and it would have just looked awkward. So I'm stopping at 19. Again, you can do more, but I'm going to cast this off and then I'm going to do just 2 rows of regular stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this off and show you what I mean if you're not quite understanding. And don't forget when you're casting off the row with beads on it to make sure the bead is in the front before you cast off, because if it's in the back, it's not going to be in the front of your work. So you want to make sure you pull that forward on the stitch before you pass through it. All right, so that was me casting off the row of beads. So now I'm going to cast on a regular row like you would do in the pattern that we're doing. So I just got done casting off casting on my regular or unbeaded row. And so I'm gonna go ahead and cast it off, and then when I cast it off, I'm gonna cast on one more regular or unbeaded row and then cast it off as well. And then I will show you how to, I guess, bind off or finish off the row. Right, so I just got done casting off the last row, which is after the beaded row. I just do 2 regular rows. So I just got done casting off the second regular row. I'm going to take my hook out, and this is the long one. I'm going to grab my regular size one in the same size. And then I'm going to go in just like I was doing before and pull up a loop. But this time, instead of going into the next one, pulling up a loop, I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a regular crochet. And I'm going to keep doing that in each one, going in, pulling it up, turning it into a regular crochet. And then I'm also going to put a marker in that first one. Just so I can keep track of where I'm at. And because of the way I'm doing it, even though there are 39 stitches when I'm doing it the regular way, or like 39 loops, there's going to be 38 single crochets once you do it like this. And then I did have to cut the string so I could add more beads. So if you do the same pattern I did and the same size and everything, then make sure you cast on, for the front and the back panel, 160 beads, because I cast on 150 and then I ended up having to add 10 more. I ended up with 3 extra, so I guess you technically only need to cast on 157, but just in case, I just did extra. And this just closes it off. Just closes it off and gives it a better border edge. And it gives us an easier way to stitch everything together later, because I'm going to single crochet everything together to give it a little more strength. Right, so I just did the last one, so I am going to go ahead and chain 2, pull out a tail, and cut it, and then pull that nice and tight. And then I'm not worrying too much about the straight ends, like here where you started, where you ended, and then I did have to change out my yarn at one point. So since I'm gluing this down, I'm using E6000 glue, I believe it's called. And then these, and I already cut them out to size for the front and the back panel, the side panels, and the bottom. And then I will need one more for the lid bit, like the flap, but I haven't decided what that's going to look like, so I haven't cut it out yet. But when I measured it out, I just made sure that I basically cut it out so that there was like a row or two, or like a row and a half sticking out on either side of it, so it's just a little bit smaller to give me room to work. But I have one of the panels being glued down now. But yeah, I'm just going to, if you have to reattach it, because I had to add more beads, if you have to do the same thing, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of tie those together. Not that it really actually matters, it just gives me peace of mind. I'm going to cut it and leave just a little bit out. And then when I glue this down to that thing I just showed you, to the mesh, then this will just be laid down and glued, so it'll be fine. And then the same with these pieces. And I'm going to show you what I do with those. Let me grab a needle. And this is actually a sewing needle, I believe. So I'm just going to grab it and I'm just going to kind of go in the back of the Tunisian. It makes those little like loops. I'm just kind of going through them. It doesn't have to be super fancy or super nice. Like I said, this is going to be hidden. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to cut it with just a little bit sticking out of it again, like so. That way, again, when it gets glued down, this will be glued down. And I'm going to do the same thing to this one, and I'll be right back. And also, yes, you can see part of my cat. I will show you what he looks like. He's just chilling, snoozing next to me. And I am also quickly going to show you how I did the bottom. So I did the same thing on the bottom as I did for the front panels and front and back panels. I did the 39, and then I did the same start. So I did the 39 chainless foundation stitches. I did one row of no beads, and then I did the one row of beads. That's going to be 9 beads, and then a beaded row of 8, an unbeaded row, a beaded row of 9, and then I did my 2 regular unbeaded rows, and then the single crochet. So that's what I did for the bottom. So it's basically just a shortened version of the front and back panel. So you'll need 2 of the ones I just showed you, 1 of this one, and then the side one is done a little differently. So on this one, you're going to do 9 chainless foundation stitches, or you can just do 9 regular chains and do it that way. But I did 9 of those. And then I did my 1 regular unbeaded row, and then I did my beaded row, which instead of having 3 on either side, I just have 2 stitches and then a bead, and then the regular 3 stitches, and on the 4th one a bead, and then 2 stitches. And that way on the next one, well, you'll see. I'm going to show you how to do this one. But first I need to get some more beads on my thread, so I will be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I counted how many beads are on the side panels, and there are 29, so I went ahead and I cast on like 30 or 40 just to make sure I'm good. And I did my 9 chainless foundation stitches, which again, you can just chain 9 and do a set of single crochet. I'm going to go into that first spot, grab that loop, and pull it through. And then I'm just going to cast on my first row of unbeaded, first unbeaded row. There we go. And now I'm going to cast off my first unbeaded row. And now I'm going to cast on my first beaded row. So I'm going to bring some beads up. And the first bead is going to go on the 3rd stitch instead of the 4th this time, because there's only 2 on the outside. So I have 3 cast on. So I'm going to pull up a bead onto that 3rd one. And now I'm going to cast on 4. Because there's going to be 3 unbeaded stitches between each bead. So I'm going to pull that bead up onto the 4th one. So that's 2, bead, 3, bead, and I'm going to cast on the next 2. And don't forget to make sure the bead is in the front when you cast off. And then the next row is going to be an unbeaded row, so I'm going to go ahead and just cast that on and off. And since the side panel is so short, I didn't bother switching over to my long hook. I just stuck with this one. You can do whatever, because I do plan on doing this pretty much in one sitting for this small row, so I'm not going to be picking it up and worrying about it falling off the end or anything. So now for the what is going to be the 4th row, which is the second beaded row. So you're going to cast on 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 5th stitch, because you got to remember there's 9 on there and you're putting a bead right in the middle, so there are 4 unbeaded stitches on each side of the bead. I'm going to pull that bead up onto that 5th stitch, so there's 4 on the side, and then you're going to finish off the 4 on the other. And I'm going to cast that off. And I'm going to keep doing that pattern until I have 19 beaded rows on here, and then I'm going to end after the 19th beaded row with 2 unbeaded rows and do my regular cast off. So when I get to my last beaded row, I'll check in with you and show you what that looks like. It's going to be the same as the front panel, but just in case you need to see it, I will show you. I was trying to race the sunlight, but unfortunately it is now 3:52, so of course it is basically dark outside. But I am on the 19th beaded row, so now I'm going to cast off. And now that I've cast off the 19th beaded row, I'm going to cast on a regular row. So I just cast on and cast off one regular row, and now I'm going to do the same again. Alright, I have cast on and cast off the second regular row after the 19th beaded row, so now I'm going to just bind it off. And now I'm going to just chain 2, pull out a tail, and pull that tight. And then I'm just going to weave in my ends on all my pieces and then go glue them down to the mesh, which I always forget what this is called. I can't remember. Plastic canvas. So I'm going to go glue all these pieces down to the plastic canvas, making sure to cut it out to where there's a little bit of space on all of the sides. And once it is morning time and they've had overnight to set, even though I'm using E6000 glue and it takes like 24 hours to set, by morning I should be able to use it. So I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to lay some wax paper over it, and then I have a box of bricks from my back porch that I'm going to set on top of it and let that set overnight, and I'll be back in the morning. So I went ahead and I glued the pieces down last night and I let them set. It's now morning and they're not stitched down perfectly, like I do need to go on the edges, but I'm running out of time for this video, so I'm trying to do what I can. So I'm going to stitch them together and like finish the product so you can see it for the end of the video, and then I'm going to go back through and like glue the edges down better and all that, and then when I actually fully finish it properly and it looks better and I might even put a lining in it, I'll take a photo of it and put it on my Instagram. But you'll get the gist of what it's supposed to look like by the end of this video. So I went ahead and I stitched or crocheted on, however you want to put it, the side on. So I started on this spot and I just did my basic loop where I go like this. I do slip stitch, and then I put my hook through the first stitch on this one, and then I pulled that loop through, and then I just single crocheted all the way through, and I did it through both loops, not just like the back V or anything. I did it through both loops all the way down. That way it looks like this, so it'll have a nice crisp corner that looks like that. And I did it all the way down, and then so I didn't have to cut the string and have extra insweave in. I did it all the way down. I attached the other one, and then I started it down this way, and now I'm doing the same on this side. I just attached this one and I'm starting it down this way, so I'll show you how that looks. Let me just do this first stitch. I had this sitting in. So I am just going to go into, let me see if I can get this to focus a little better. I'm just going to go into a stitch and then into the same stitch on the other side. And the reason I have these is because I went like 15 or 20 in on each side and put this through so I can gauge whether I'm like at the right spot, so I don't get like at the end and have like 3 or 5 stitches off and have to like fix that at the end and make it all bunched up. I get a little room to fix that, but I haven't had any problems so far. Everything's been exactly the correct amount of stitches, thankfully. So I'm going to pull that through. And I'm just going to keep doing this all the way down. And in the comment section, let me know what you think I should put in this as a liner. I'm gonna try to find some kind of like silky material or maybe velvet. And I can't really decide what color I want to do. I know red would be a classic with this bag. That could look cute, but I don't know if I'm really a red interior kind of person. I was thinking like an emerald green in it, either a silk or a velvet could be cute, or even like a mauve-y pink or coral pink. But I'm up to whatever. And if you think red would look nice, I mean, a red would look nice. Either a nice like bright red or a deep blood red could look cool. But let me know what color, and it doesn't have to be any of the colors I said. You could be like, I think you should do plum purple, which again could look cool. Whatever color you think. And then I'll see what I can find, because I could have my mind set on like a color and then not find it. So that being said, the other day when I was at my local craft store, getting yarn for a different project, I did see this like nice, like kind of somewhere between like a coral and a mauve, like velvet. It was really pretty. But yeah, unfortunately the interior won't be done in this video. That'll be something I have to do later, because I need to finish stitching gluing the edges down perfectly. And if I had had enough time, then I would have let this dry down all the way, so like midday today, because it just sat overnight. And midday today I would have glued the edges and let it set till midday tomorrow and then start doing this, but I don't have that kind of time. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this all the way down. And then when I get done here, I'm gonna put this one on. Well, probably do it like this and stitch along the edges, and then I'll start on the, like, doing one probably single crochet around the whole thing to make it look right, and then start on the lid. And I was trying to do this so you could see it, but this is kind of a difficult angle for me to do it and not mess it up. So now that you get the gist of what I'm doing, I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera and I will be right back. Right, so I wanted to give you an update on this. I just got done with this. I did the 2 single crochets, or 2 slip stitches, chains, whatever you want to call it, and pulled it tight, cut a tail, and this is what I have so far. So now I'm going to take this one and do the same thing. I'm going to stitch it here, here, and here, and then I'm going to stitch this together and this together. And oof, the black yarn is really doing a number to my white background. And then once I get all that stitched in, I'm going to flip it inside out, which might not be as easy since it does have this backing, but also this backing is super flexible, so it shouldn't be difficult either. And then when I get done with that, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I will get started on the little lid. So I'll be right back. Right, so I just got done sewing this one on and sewing these bits together. So when I flip it inside out and I do like the one row around, I'm gonna crochet over these to weave them in a bit. And then for these ones, I'm just gonna kind of tie them together loosely so they don't like come undone. And then when I get to this point where I'm gluing this down better, I'm just going to kind of cut them shorter and just tuck them under there like so, so that they're not loose and hanging out. So for now, since I'm going to be flipping this inside out, I'm just going to tie those like that, and then attempt to very carefully flip this inside out. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be when I started. I just have to grab the corners. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And then everything's going to be a little stiff until I finish it, but this is looking very, very cute. I'm very, very happy with this. Okay, now I'm going to do a single crochet all the way around the edge, and I'm going to start off right here in this corner because this is going to be the back, and this is where I'm going to start the flap. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet all the way around, and then I'm going to take this one and start doing the lid. So I'm just going to start over here in this corner. Pull that through, pull both of these over to start crocheting over them. And then I'm just going to go in every loop and do a single crochet. And then I was just thinking, when I go to like stick all this down better, instead of flipping it right side out or inside out again, I'm going to go in and very carefully put glue where I want it to be, and then take one of my bricks that I was setting on this and wrap it in, because I think my brick is exactly this length and about this width, and wrap it in wax paper and just set it in there to kind of hold everything like press it down. So I think that should work perfect because this feels like it is exactly the size of my bricks I have. Otherwise I can just stick 2 long ways in here. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. You can flip it inside out if you want, but I don't want to mess anything up doing so. So yeah, I'm just going in and doing a single crochet all the way around. And then when I get back here, I'll meet you here to show you how I'm doing the lid part of it. So I am now going into the first single crochet I did and slip stitching. And now I'm going to count these stitches in the back so I can see where I want to start things. Okay, so I counted it out so that I have 39, just like the front and back panel. And what I did was, instead of, let me see if I can get this close to where it makes sense. Instead of me first putting my hook, let me grab something I can point with, through this stitch and pulling that loop up, I'm going straight into this one. So it's going to look a bit odd. I don't know why I have this here. Maybe remove that. So that'll be the first stitch, and then, so they're both kind of landing in the middle of this. So let me go ahead and do that so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to right where that is, stick my hook right in there. Pull that up so you can see it a little better. Just right in there. I'm struggling a little bit to get in there. And whenever I do, I'll use the pointy bit, hook it in there, and then is right in there. So that is going to be the first stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this right over and pull that right on through. So that's the first loop on my hook, although it is a little messy. Okay, here. First loop on my hook, and I'm going to go into that next spot and pull up a loop, and I'm going to continue to do this all the way across to that marker that I put, and then I'll count it and make sure it is in fact 39. Okay, perfect. So there is 39 stitches on this. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this off. This is going to be similar to how I did this when I did just the, why is this one sticking in? Okay. When I did the one unbeaded regular row, and then my next row is going to be the beaded row with the 9 beads. So it's going to be 3 stitches unbeaded, and then a stitch beaded, 3 stitches unbeaded, and so on and so forth, just like how I did this wider panel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then see how long I want the little flap bit to be, and I'll check back in with you to show you what I'm doing. But this is really hard to stitch at the angle I have to be at for you to see. So for this to actually, oh sorry, I'm not in focus. So for me to actually get this done in time to put the video out, I do need to grab this and pull it over to me so I can really work on it. So I'll check in with you and I'll be right back. Okay, so for the lid bit, or the flap, the closing part, I don't really know what to call this part, but what I did was I showed you how I started it off, and then I did it exactly the same way as I did the back here, alternating the rows, and then I got to the 11th beaded row. Oh, sorry. I got to the 11th beaded row, and I decided that was long enough. I was hoping it would be enough at the 9th one, but it wasn't, so I went a few more rows. The 11th one ended up being perfect. So after I cast off the 11th beaded row, I just did my 2 regular rows. And then after I did my 2 regular rows, I did the single crochet to finish it off. And then I tied off my end and weaved it in. And I have decided, since I'm not putting any like backing on this part to make it stiff, because then it wouldn't be very useful, I think I'm going to starch it and like lay it flat. It won't be done in this video because I don't have time to, but once I do get everything done, I'll show you on like Instagram or something. But for now, you'll just see what the finished product is and you'll be able to get the gist of what it looks like. So for the hardware on the side, I'm 1 stitch away. There's 1 stitch between the back, like where the flap starts, and where I'm doing this. So I'm putting this on here. I'm taking, and I'm more of a silver person than a gold person, but I was hoping to do a gold on this, but I couldn't find like a light gold that I like. I could only find like super yellow gold, and I really do not like that super yellow gold. So silver it is, which is fine. I like silver. So I'm going in that. I'm pulling this through. And then I'm going to go ahead and plop this on here. And I'm going to do a slip stitch to kind of hold that in place. And then I'm going to go into that same spot, pull up a loop, and then do a single crochet. That way the top of the single crochet is visible on the outer side. You'll see what that looks like in a minute. And I'm going to go into the next 4 loops, just doing 1 single crochet in each one. And then in this last one, instead of just doing the 1 single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and go in that same spot and do 2, just to make the edges a little more sturdy. And then I'm going to do my usual 2 single crochets, or sorry, my 2 slip stitches, or chains. I don't know why I keep messing up what I'm saying. I'm going to cut a tail, I'm going to pull that out, and pull it nice and tight. And then I'm going to weave these in later. But I wanted to show you what that looks like. I think that looks really good. So I have 1 on either side for the bag, and then the flap will go here. And then I have a chain that I'm going to use for this part. So I'm going to go ahead and slap the chain on and decide how long I want, because I want this to just be kind of like over the arm, like a handheld bag. So I'm going to slap the chain on, weave in my ends, and I will be right back. Also, for the closure, I have these, and I know, you know, they're not silver, but they're going to be on the inside, so you won't be able to see it. So what I'm going to do is, that's why there's a marker right here, is because I'm going to put this one right here. It's just going to go, well, it's going to go right through when I figure out where the spot to go through is. And then this one, since it does kind of do this like through thing, I don't want it to like stab through the fabric. So since it has these backings on it, I'm going to take a small square of this. I'm just going to cut out just a little square that's just barely bigger than this. I'm probably going to have to like cut the plastic for this to go through, but I'm going to push this through, and then I'm going to put this in the back to kind of hold it. That way, once that's done and on and flat, just pretend it's on there, then I will take this little square and I will use the glue that I put this on before with, and I will glue it down. And then once the glue is dried, that little bit of edge I left, I'll go through and I will sew that down, making sure to only go, let me show you, making sure to only go between the, like, kind of how there's each row is like little V's. I'm going to make sure to only go between the V's. Then you won't be able to see the stitches at all. And I'm just going to stitch it down so it's nice and secure. That way it just clicks and it's fastened. And then, like I said, I'm going to take this and I'm going to probably lay it flat somewhere, probably like this. And I'm going to starch the heck out of it. And I'm going to lay a brick on it so it'll be nice and flat. And I'm going to just lightly starch this part. And I'm going to heavily starch the edges and the middle. And then I'll probably like go through after that dries and like heavily starch the edges again to make sure they don't curl, so that it will close and look nice. So yes, like I said, I'm going to finish off attaching the chain and sewing in my ends so you can pretty much see what the finished project is going to look like. I'm so excited. This looks so cute. So cute. But yes, I will be right back. Okay, so the whole time I was working on this project, I thought the little black smudges was from the yarn, these little like scuffs and stuff. No, it was from my lint roller, and I'm so mad now because there's like darker bits, and when now that it's thinner and I swipe it across, I just noticed because I was trying to make it look nice for this final like thing, but it's rubbing off on this, so I'm gonna have to like take this off my table and bleach it, which sucks because there's so much stuff on my table right now. But so yeah, if you see these, that's why I couldn't fix it. But yes, as you saw in that little preview I just did, the bag is done and it looks so cute. Well, it's like 90% of the way done. So here it is in all of its beautiful glory. I wish the lighting was better. It's dark outside now, but yes, this is the bag. It is so cute. My phone fits in it perfectly. My phone's like this big. I have an iPhone 11, so if it's like right here, like this, perfectly. Let me actually measure. Yeah, that was actually like perfect. So it fits just perfect in here. And this is everything I wanted. So I currently have it pinned down with sewing needles because this was curling up really, really badly. So I'll take that off in a minute and show you what we have going on there. But yes, this is exactly what I wanted it to be and more. It is absolutely gorgeous. And if you have issues with this like moving around, you can glue it. Before I put this bit on, the flat part, I filed it with a nail file and made sure it was like kind of scruffed up, and then after I put it on, I put some glue on it. So yeah, so they won't move around, like they're in place. And I have a chain on here. I believe it's not counting the 6 that go around here, because I'm not counting the one that where they are attached touching each other, and then so there's 6 total there, and then 35, and then 6 total here. So that is how long I made the handle. And I used, well, I thought I had saved the label from the chain, but now I can't. Oh, here it is. Never mind. I used this chain, if you were curious. So yes, I think it came out perfect. So once it's attached and it's down, it pretty much makes it to the bottom perfectly, in case you're wanting to know how long that is. Here's the width, here's the side, here's the back and the bottom, and I am just absolutely in love. Okay, so I'm going to take the pins off because again, I'm going to have to like starch this and flatten it and all that kind of stuff to make sure it stays. But for now, I just pinned it with some sewing needles because it was curling up really bad and I wanted to look cute in the little finale. So this is what I meant for this part. So it is this one I have on there and it fits perfectly between the beads. Like there's not a bead here. And then on the inside, you can see it right here. That's where it sticks out. I need to get my tool and like flatten that off to the sides. But once that's flattened off to the sides and I have liner in here, it won't be in the way and it won't be an issue at all. And then I went ahead and I glued down the edges like I wanted to, but I used super glue instead of the glue I was originally using. And this one here in just a moment, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it back on here. I'm gonna take some wax paper and put it underneath so it doesn't get glue on it. But I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna put my glue on it and I'm gonna shut this and I'm gonna lace it on it to make sure it stays. And I'm also gonna make sure I'm doing it in the center. I'm gonna put something on it, make sure it stays, a brick, and then let that set for a few hours and then take it off like so, and then do this, and then let that set open in the air for like, I don't know, about 24 hours because that's how long it's supposed to take for the glue to dry. And then once I do that, I'm going to I might do that I can't decide if I want to do that before or after I starch this flat. I might do an overall like light starching, do this, and then do the heavy starching on the edge. Mostly just this edge that needs it. But yeah, that's what it ended up looking like. And I'm so incredibly happy. It is so cute. So yes, I can't wait to show you what this looks like with my outfit. The outfit has like butterfly sleeves. It's mostly black and then it has like this little moon and star kind of thing on it. I made this to go with that dress to a semi-formal to formal Christmas party that my boyfriend's work. And I had the shoes and I realized I don't have a purse. Like, I mean, I have my everyday purse, but I can't just carry my sad, cheap, nothing about it is cheap. I mean, all the pieces of this was cheap. The labor was not, but nothing wrong with cheap. I'm just saying it does not go with my outfit at all. So yes, I'm so incredibly happy. This is so cute. So yes, if you made this and even if you made it in the same color, I would love to see it. If you made it in a different color, like how cute would this be in like hot pink with this? And I'm not even a pink person. And again, I think I'm gonna try to find an emerald green for the inside. If I can't, oh well. And when I line it, I don't know if I want to just line the inside or do a little bit on the back of this as well. Actually, got some glue on there. Oh well, it's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna do the lining and do this part at some point and starch this. And when I do, I'll post it on Instagram, maybe even with my outfit. But yes, if you made this, please post it, tag me. I want to see it so bad. If you do other colors, I think that'd be fun. I might even make this again in different colored yarn and post it on my Etsy maybe. I don't know. This was really fun and really cute and I love it. Absolutely love it. So yes, anyway, thank you so much for staying if you've stayed this long into the video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. If you have any recommendations for future videos, also let me know those down below. And anyway, I'll stop yapping in your ear and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much and I love you. Bye!